Hello, my name is Gabriel Twist.
I don't want to be here.
This has been
I'm Amber.
This has been one of those. This has been one of those episodes, which, for Round the Twist has a lot of those episodes, and they're distinct kinds. Like it's not just a singular. There's not a singular those episodes.
Yeah.
You know, there's just a lot of them. But this is definitely one of them. This is obviously ever felt like this. Australia's reluctantly number one podcast to do with the Australian children's television series Round the Twist. What was the name of today's episode, Amber?
Tears of Innocence. I
just don't think that's appropriate.
Absolutely not. Especially not with Esmond Storm directing.
We'll get to that, but yeah, this was a weird one.
For a start, the opening was the lead plot.
Yeah. So there wasn't a cold open. There was we started like a cricket pitch. Pete's playing cricket. The bullies are, on the, I don't know, I suppose it's like just versus bullies is like how cricket works.
I think there was a few other people there that just missed characters we don't know.
They just don't matter. Like, if I could...
Snapper was umpiring.
Yeah, naturally.
Referee, whatever.
I think he's like...
What's it called in cricket?
Umpire, yeah.
Is it an umpire?
Yeah. I think it's like, he's like genetically an umpire.
It's like a vampire. He was bitten by an umpire, so he has become one.
He was genetically umpish. He's of the umpish people.
I like umpire. I like anything to do with It's very fun.
So, Pete's wondering how to deal with Gribble's bowling.
Because they've been taunting him.
Yeah.
They're like, how many ducks have you got?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're sledging.
What's a duck? Is it when you miss all your...
A duck is when you get out for zero.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you make 0 runs.
Yeah, you make 0 runs. If it doesn't matter if you've been out there a while and you haven't been on bat. If your ass is out for 0, that's a duck.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it cuts to the edge of the cricket pitch, which is also just where the ocean is because it's Port Miranda. But over there is someone who I kind of I knew immediately. I couldn't remember his name, so I looked it up. But I recognized him immediately. Noted Australian character actor Bud Tingwell.
Bud Tingwell.
Who was in a variety of working dog movies. And he was the constitutional lawyer in The Castle.
Right.
Which is probably where most people recognize him from. But he's he's a fairly, he's a legendary Australian character. He's, one of Australia's great old actors.
Yeah.
He's long since perished, but yeah.
So, yeah, he's walking along the shore, and Pete, shoos a fly that's around his head. And the character Bud's playing thinks Pete's waving to him. So he waves back. Pete looks a little confused.
Is that Bud Tingwell?
And then he goes... The old man's like, relax. Hit it to me. And it's like, how does Pete hear him to start with?
Fucking...
Magic old man whispers.
Yeah, he's got the fucking, magic elderly sports advice voice.
And he smacks it, and it goes over into the water.
Which is kind of... I don't think it's okay to have 6 and out in a proper game.
No.
Because who's going and getting that?
No. Why are we playing next to a fucking ocean?
I don't think cricket balls float. I may be wrong. I don't think I've tested this, but they are I can tell you that I've had one hit me in the back, and they do not feel like they.
I feel
float.
they are slightly buoyant.
Maybe they are.
I don't know.
It's hard to. They're fucking hard. I suppose they're not heavy.
Let's go throw one at children in pools and find out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go buy a cricket ball.
Yeah.
Some kind of legit one, not like one of those little plastic jobs.
So yeah, and then the title card comes up, Tears of Innocence.
Just why? But at this point, to me, this intro is the clearest basic sports story you could possibly get. Person needs fucking confidence while learning how to fucking, do this sport. Fucking, look.
I thought we were going to do a sports episode.
Yeah, I think we were going to get Bag of Vance or whatever, except it's Bud Tingwell going, I used to play cricket. And then it turned out he played cricket in the fucking, 1700s when they still used a head.
I want a bag of Vance. I could use with some Vans.
I want some cream of Abdul-Jabbar.
I love that because he's in basketball.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's in like he's in the collection.
Trophy case because like Doug
he just
Reamer
looks
walks
down
up and
slightly at him.
and he goes, "That's right. When I see something I want, I get it." But yeah, that was the opening.
Yeah, that's just the start. Is like
To which we then cut to Pete and Linda walking, and Pete's like, "I got 76 runs."
which is honestly not fucking bad. Like,
Shitload of runs,
Yeah.
considering he was on a duck at that point.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Was he just running while they were trying to fish it out of the water?
Yeah, they were technically the line is actually further out into the water, so it wasn't a 4.
No.
It was just stuck there in the
Yeah.
fucking water, and everyone was figuring out. Well, he's just scooting back and
Scooting
forward.
back. To which, Gabe comes up and gives Linda a rose because he's still under the spell.
Still magic horny.
And she's kind of sounding like she's liking the attention at this point.
She just likes the attention. Yeah.
Which, yeah, I guess.
I don't. Well, she doesn't like. She likes the idea of the attention.
Yes.
She doesn't like gribble,
Yeah, that's right.
but like she likes the idea of feeling attractive.
Yeah. So they go back we cut to the lighthouse, and God, I don't like this music.
Yeah, like it. I get it now, but like
it said upbeat music, and it was like raw, courseless, like adventure music.
it was jaunty Irish
setting
jig
off on
music.
a fucking,
Yeah,
on a
except
quest.
it's like fucking Tony and Faye making
just
out.
making out.
Yeah. And this was also like a crane shot. The first of like 1,000 crane shots in this episode, which had like crane shots, some dolly shots. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened. Like, your theory is Snapper wanted to have like a full sex scene in here somewhere.
Yeah.
And my idea was that, yeah, ABC probably bartered him down to like letting him have access to the actual camera fucking
He
equipment.
probably just wrote an extra zero on the budget.
Just no one paid attention.
I'm a snapper.
Yeah. That meant this episode had $260. Because, like, I really watch it because it's like fucking, what's his name? J.J. Abrams and the lens flare, where, like, it's a joke. But if you watch his movies, it really is in it a lot. And this is like that for the fucking crane shots.
Yeah.
Like, there is crane shot after crane shot after crane shot after crane shot. And it's like, we had this thing set up out front the lighthouse, and we're fucking using it.
Now, there was a plot point that wasn't conveyed very well.
It was not.
And we'll get to that. But for this, it ties in because Faye's like, after they stop making out, she's like, oh, wow, all that for a glass of water? Next time I'll bring a jug.
I mean, I'm really surprised Tony didn't say you just only need to breathe in these jugs and then just cop a feel, because that's what I'd have done. He already brought me some
Adults
jugs.
only ran the twist episodes when? Live and
Yeah.
uncut.
It's called Shit's Fucked. I'm sticking with that title, and I don't care if it... I don't care if it destroys any potential profitability. It's about art, damn it.
You just put a star on the U and fucked, you're fine.
Yeah. Every episode, Bronson gets violently killed.
He's the Kenny of our series.
Yeah. Or more the Chris Elliott from fucking Get a Life.
I don't know what that is.
That's where South Park stole the Killing Kenny bit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they gave Chris Elliott his own sitcom in like the early 90s, and the world was not ready for Chris Elliott having his own sitcom because it's about a 36-year-old paperboy who is just insane and unlikable. And by the second season, they kind of knew they were getting cancelled, so they just started having him die at the end of episodes.
Oh.
And just not addressing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It's an excellent series, and I do recommend it.
So Faye gets on a bike and...
Huh?
Faye gets on a bike
Yeah.
and pedals away.
Yeah, she's in her CFA gear, which for the unfamiliar is the Country Fire Authority, which is a rural firefighting sort of. I'm pretty sure it's volunteer
I think so.
because it's one of those things where Australia will be fine for like 9 months and then it'll just burn to the ground.
Yeah.
And so the fire authorities are usually like these volunteer organizations where it's like, all right, you know what? You're kind of on call, and then when shit kicks off, it's like, all right, yeah.
Because otherwise you pay firemen to sit around for 9 months.
You literally
be
be doing fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might like have to go do some backburning or something if you're
Yeah.
paying attention, but otherwise, yeah, you're just not doing anything.
As the kids are getting home on their bike, and the old man is just there. He's just rocked up.
Yeah. Character actor Bud Tingwell. Just rolling up to the Port Miranda Lighthouse.
And he introduced himself. He's like, I'm Derek. And he like goes on about his escapades, how he speaks 11 languages.
Escapades,
he sailed
yeah.
the seas.
He's trying to, he asked for any work, and like Tony's like, well, what can you do? And he just goes into this
Yeah.
fucking like con man patter.
And he says he's a rainmaker.
Yeah, he can divine water, and Bronson says, "How do you design water?"
Yeah, and
that's
he
a solid
says,
one.
"You divine the earth for water and milk the sky for rain." And I'm like, I don't like that.
You don't want to see his wrinkly hands yank the sky teats.
No.
Sky teats. And then Tony hears this very impressive resume and then says, "You can weed the garden." And the bullies roll up and decide to gribble fawns over Linda a bit more. And then we cut to Faye at her fire authority. I think she's having like a fucking...
It seems like some sort of like raffle
charity,
and stuff,
like a raffle,
to raise money for the fire association. And Snapper shows up.
Snapper shows up in shorts, brown shoes, and like almost thigh-high socks.
Yeah, he is the picture of a Welshman.
He's one of those kids who would have been dressed in a little sailor suit when he was a kid. And he was okay with that. It was his idea. His parents desperately wanted him to stop.
And so he shows up. He's got the book. He's got the Viking Book of Love, which he confiscated in the last episode. And he's like, "Oh, Faye, I've been reading this book of poetry, and I want to read it to you." And she's like, she realizes what it is.
Credit where it's due. Yeah, she was like, "Danger!" and like tried to run, but it was too late.
She's like, "You know what, Ralph? I don't like you. It's you. I don't like you.
Yeah.
I need to go." And he starts reading as she's walking away, and it gets her,
Yeah.
of course. And unfortunately, now she's in love with Snapper. And we cut to
his knee-high boy socks.
the bullies, and again, a very beautiful, very wide-angle shot of them walking down a beach road.
There is, yeah, and that's the other thing too. Loads of like, I think it's almost, probably actually mostly fucking location work as well.
It looks like it.
Yeah, there are some shots in the lighthouse, but they're literally the minority.
Yeah.
And this is like completely meaningless too. It's just the bullies walking down a fucking beach road going on about how Linda's great. And
then the spell wears off because now it's on
Yeah.
Faye. To which, like, he's back to normal. And we cut back into the lighthouse and Linda's talking about Gribble, how, like, I can't even remember what she says.
it's just like, she's not into him, but she just like, it's nice. It's nice to feel popular.
And then the phone rings. And
This
Pete
comes
answers
crashing
it,
down.
and it's Gribble, and he's like, "Can I speak to your sister?" So he puts her on the phone, and she says,
Yeah, I wrote this down. Did you?
yeah,
Yeah.
you're ugly as a dog and you're dropped. Woof, woof.
Oh God.
To which she's like, "Oh, I know he wasn't in love with me really anyway." She's a little disappointed that the spell is gone.
Yeah. Women.
And then we get another crazy fucking shot
Yeah.
of zooming over like the beachheads as Pete walks down to try to find Derek.
No earthly reason. And
No.
again, like these days, you could pull that off with like a $20 drone. All of these shots are like the kinds of things you could do today very fucking easily.
Back then, God
No,
no.
yeah, back then it was a crane.
Yeah.
That was like had to support a human being and a camera.
Yeah.
And like that, none of that's fucking cheap. This isn't like just a camera on a stick. Because even the fucking, the stabilizing shit wasn't there then either. We get this fucking, this just, again, it's constant and it's like sort of, again, in ways, they are impressive shots, but also, you got to be thinking about what are these doing exactly and what's the point if you're doing it constantly? Like what story is this telling? You can argue there's like an element of like, all right, the clouds, the sky, rain falling from up to, down. There's themes here. But
Look, all I'm saying is after the doll episode, Snapper is feeling himself.
Yeah, he's like...
Esben is like, I am a director!
Yeah, he's getting his shit in.
He's on set molesting the aides. He's a real director now, damn it.
Because, like, we get this fucking expensive shot, and then Pete walks down and finds, again, character actor Bud Tingwell talking to a goddamn leprechaun.
Yeah, because, like, before you see it, you see the text, if you got subtitles on, and it says leprechaun as the speaker, and we're just both like, what?
Because, again, nothing. Absolutely zilch.
The jaunty music was very Irish.
But also, who cares?
Who cares? It's like, it's not establishing there's a fucking leprechaun.
And again, like one of the key element that we had at the start was like, okay, cricket game maybe, and I don't know, I don't think of the Irish when I think of fucking cricket. And so, yeah, leprechaun. And, I know you're thinking, oh, they'll have hired a midget. No, they didn't.
No.
I'm guessing they couldn't afford a midget because they spent all the midget money on Bud Tingwell.
Bud Tingwell's worth at least 3 midgets.
I mean, yeah. So they've just got, like, a dude in, like, a leprechaun costume, and he's really awkwardly blue-screened onto the fucking...
He's made a little small.
Yeah, like, he's like, it's weird, because the first shot you see him is terrible. But then everything after that, they have the common sense to, like, make it a close-up so they can just, use perspective relatively easily. And then there's a moment where Pete kind of laughs at him, and then the leprechaun jumps onto his chest and is holding his, like, shirt and digging his feet in. And, like, the leprechaun is, like, maybe, the size of an action figure. Like, he's quite small. So he's just stuck on the front of Pete's shirt. And that's one fucking effect shot is actually done really well. They've got the shirt puckered up in the exact right spots, and it really does look quite good for a fucking, 2000 episode of Round the Twist with a budget of $26.
And when the leprechaun first sees Pete, he says, human, and disappears.
Yeah.
Comes back shortly after and was like, oh, what? You could see me. This is fine. He's like, oh, you must be an innocent. It's like, what?
And why would you run away if people who aren't innocent can't see you, you stupid leprechaun?
Yeah.
Fucking liar.
So, like, Pete...
You're walking a leprechaun and smell boy innocence. That's worrying.
Pete wants to know how the guy makes it rain, because there's a drought.
Yeah.
And it's like, how was this not established anywhere?
I know, like, I kept thinking, it's like, did they mention a fucking drought? Like, it might have. I swear it didn't come up when, because the logical point for it to have come up would have been when Tony and Faye were talking.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go into town for my, like,
Because the
CFA.
sculpture he's making is for the drought. He's making a fan machine.
And I swear it doesn't come up.
It doesn't.
And if it does, it's like, fucking, maybe your word.
So Derek talks about, it's about faith and being in tune with the elements. You need a primer, such as dew from a cactus or tears from an innocent.
Or mist from the valley.
GMP's like, the drought's really killing everyone. Like, well, we need you to, like, he's like, could you make it rain? And, like, the old man, like, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. And the leprechaun, like, it's all like, you've got to make him believe sort of thing.
Yeah. And so, like, that's what he's like, Pete, you can do this. You can make him, like, if he knows you believe in him, he can make it rain.
He's being reverse bag-avanced.
Yeah. Faye gets back and is, like, really happy, and she's like, Tony, something terrible's happened. It's wonderful, but it's terrible. And Tony's like, say it loud and say it proud. She's like, I've fallen in love with Ralph Snapper. To which Tony just laughs. He starts laughing his ass off.
That's the correct.
And he's like, Snapper's an idiot. And Faye's like, I don't care if he's an idiot. I'm moving in with him today.
And he's still laughing.
And then it cuts inside to Tony laughing with Linda and Bronson.
Yeah, Tony and Linda were all just having a fucking...
Pete walks in and is like, what's going on? And they explain it. As Faye walks down with a bag.
She's moving in with him.
Yeah, she's like, I don't care if he's an idiot. No, you read such love-rich poetry. And Linda's face goes, boom.
Yeah.
She connects the dots immediately and tells, like, Tony's like, no, Snapper has the Viking Book of Love.
Yeah.
And Tony's like, oh, like, because she leaves and he's like, he's broken.
Yeah.
For a sec. And then he goes, oh, okay, like, she loves him, but she really loves me.
Yeah.
And then he goes, why do I still see an abyss?
Yeah, because he says, I see an abyss. And then he's like, oh, I still see an abyss. Although, like, there's a point where, like, they're just ragging on Snapper and Linda calls him an emotional mutant and a human blank slate.
A non-event of a person.
Yeah, the non-event of a person. That's a good one.
It's like, whoa.
And so we cut to Gribble Senior with the great line. Like, he's obviously with some kind of prospective client, and he's pointing out over a big, piece of land, going, oh, could you imagine, all this here? And then he says, this is Australia. It's for sale, and I'm selling it. Which is some classic developer dialogue. And then Pete rolls up and tries to explain to Gribble that he knows a rainmaker, and that he can, fix the drought. And then so he fucking, goes back to Derek and announces that the mayor wants him to make it rain. And then Gribble shows up and the leprechaun vanishes, and then Gribble walks off talking to Derek, And then Pete says, what was it he said to the leprechaun? That it was the thing that sounded a bit off.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, because Pete brings, Gribble to meet him. And the leprechaun says, like, what's going on? And Pete says, I think Mr. Rick Gribble is going to offer him a rain job.
I accidentally wrote Gribby here.
Gribby, which sounds very sexual.
Yes.
You want to give me a rain job? Yeah.
Yeah, just here in the bushes near the beach, which I'm nearly certain is where a lot of, like, coastal clandestine homosexuality occurs.
Mm.
Then, was it Nell shows up?
So Tony's got the phone. He's pulled the phone all the way
that's
outside
right. Yeah,
for some reason.
Yeah, because he makes the joke, I need a more mobile phone. And, like, okay, but, like, why are you outside at all? This is not necessary.
And so he's waiting by the phone, and Nell's like, shows up, and Pete's like, Derek's gonna make it rain. And Nell's like, don't get your hopes up, Pete. Like, he's said this before, and it's never worked out. And again, Nell knows everything.
If this were, like, proper season 1 Nell, it'd have turned out that they were married. Like, briefly.
Yeah. So Tony calls Snapper on the phone, and Tony just starts laughing. Inside, Pete's telling everyone the good news that Derek's going to make it rain. Bronson's like, I bet you 50 cents he doesn't. Which Pete's like, oh, I'm on. Linda's like, $10. He's like, yep. And then we cut to the kids waiting for school at their school spot.
Yeah.
And Gribble...
Where the school bus, we've seen this location a couple of times before. They've had the kids there having a chat. And it's like...
Gribble's making a bet that if it doesn't rain, Pete has to be a slave.
Yeah, the bets are starting to stack up now,
Then, he'll be Pete's slave. They agree. They shake hands. It lingers on the shot way too long, and it slows down.
It does a weird slow-mo when they do the fucking handshake.
Looking into each other's eyes.
Yeah, it's got like... It has shades of the latent homosexuality of Top Gun.
Yeah.
Like you didn't need the slowdown here.
No.
This is weird.
And the next... We just get a straight cut to another day.
Yeah, like we cut from the kids waiting for school to like Tony... Pete, Linda, and Bronson all showing up at, like, the fair for where the fucking rain dance is going to happen in, like, regular clothes.
Yeah.
No idea where we are in space and time.
Nope.
Just batshit insane.
The bullies show up to bully Linda about the fact that Gribbs doesn't like her anymore.
That is funny.
Which is very funny.
They're just saying woof at her a lot.
And we see Faye with Snapper. And Nell's like, you've got to confront him sooner or later. So he walks up to them, and Snapper's like, oh, hello, Tony. To which he doesn't say anything, he just walks between them and walks away.
Funny, yeah.
And then Nell does the same. She walks between them, too.
Hey.
She's like, I got to rep my homeboy.
Yeah, Nell's ride or die, man.
Yeah.
That shit's real for Nell, all right?
Yeah.
Nell was out here in the early days, the Razor Gang days.
She was in a 50s doo-wop group.
Yeah, when like when the women had to keep the razors ready, the slit throats.
And so we're here for the Germanium Festival.
I know, like which again, you know what's really getting to me here is that opening cricket thing was completely meaningless.
It was
like absolutely worthless.
It served no purpose
It
except to show that the old man believed in Pete. That was it.
Which could have been accomplished a bajillion other... Because, I mean, again, that sets up a sports episode.
It does.
It does not set up the rest of this.
We've never had a cold opening lead into the episode as a plot point.
No. And we've never had, like, again, like, what's the Geranium Festival? Like, the idea that there's a drought impacting the Geranium Festival and that Faye's got to be in the CFA thing, all of that would normally have been in the start of an episode.
But no, we traded it for fancy shots. and
Bud Tingwell.
Bud Tingwell.
Which is the most made-up sounding fucking name.
It is.
Like, Tingwell. That is some fucking bullshit.
That is a
shopkeeper
in The Legend of Zelda.
I'm gonna look it up because I'm kind of curious. Because I know
can't be
Bud.
his real name. That has to be a stage
Bud's
name.
not his. Yeah, I know Bud's not his fucking real name. It's like a in quotes in the middle thing. But like I don't know about Tingwell. Charles William Tingwell. Shit.
Oh, yeah. Charles. Right.
Yeah. He acted in his first motion picture in 1946.
Jesus.
Yeah. He went back in 2009.
So yeah, Gribble's going on about the special flowers they have and how they have like an award-winning one from X, and everyone's very like impressed by this.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, like it's like the little horse from fucking Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
Like, just the whole suburb loves this stupid little horse.
Yeah.
And like only like fucking Amy Poehler can't figure out why everyone loves the horse. It's like this geranium is the most amazing thing fucking ever.
So Gribble's going on about how, it's the geranium's going to wilt away from this drought. What's going to happen? Well, luckily we've got a very special guest. He's like a rainmaker. He's going to come out and make it rain. And here he is, the Rain Man, to which a drum starts playing. Yeah. Someone starts playing
a conga, like conga. One of those like fucking
And he comes out dressed as a Native American.
I mean, we'll say Native. He comes out dressed as, let's just say, a racially insensitive Indian.
Yeah.
This isn't like comes out dressed as a Native American. That suggests a degree of care beyond what looks like a stage costume from like 1931.
He looks like one of the ones they showcase in Vegas.
I mean, I figure they've got to be gone these days. But
I think so, yeah. But you know the one I'm talking about.
Like the Cleveland Redskins would look at this and be like, oh, that's a bit much.
But yeah. So he comes out, starts chanting and dancing around. And
everyone's laughing at this already.
Everyone's laughing.
It is the stupidest thing they've ever seen.
Pete is instantly heartbroken because he believed in all this shit.
And you are now absorbing just wave after wave of secondhand embarrassment off of this. I mean, shit, the fucking leprechaun's embarrassed by this.
Yeah.
The leprechaun sees and goes, oh, fuck me, and vanishes.
So he keeps doing his dance, and Gribble's like, let it rain, and he turns on the sprinklers.
Yeah.
To which, Pete's pretty heartbroken. He runs away, and we get a nice little overhead
another fucking goddamn
of him running up to Derek, kind of looking at him, kind of goes to say something, then just runs off.
Yeah, this is where it tries to be a serious cinema for a bit.
It's nuts.
It really, yeah.
And we cut back to the lighthouse, and Tony's walking into the shed to find Pete. And he gives him this speech about how, like, you can be a broken man, and as long as one person believes in you, you'll make it through. And he's like, I believe in you, Pete.
Yeah, what if no one believes in you? Well, then you're fucked.
He's like, I believe in you, Dad. And they hug, and, it's... So they go... Pete goes back to Derek.
Pete finds Derek in just, like, I don't know, the weird spot that he's been sitting. Like, the log.
The leprechaun's, like, arguing with him about all this stuff, and how they've wasted so much rain, and like they always thought there'd be another rainbow.
They just used to make rain for fun.
Yeah, apparently they just get pissed, like, hey, like I'm making it rain.
We're gonna make floods.
So like Pete comes down and like he starts getting very emotional and tells him everyone was laughing. He's like, you're probably used to people laughing at you.
I know, like I described this as Pete tries to actually act, and it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, it really is.
And because he says, oh, you're probably used to like, everybody laughing at you, but I'm not. And it's like, no, you are.
You are.
We've watched the rest of this series. Yeah, we've seen lots of episodes where almost all of it was predicated on let's laugh at Pete.
And then he goes, you know what? It was absolutely enjoyable. And he starts crying and a tear rolls down his cheek, to which Bud gets way too excited.
It's the wrong fucking smile.
Because he grabs it. And the moment he grabs it, it cuts to his face and he licks his lips slightly.
Yeah. And again, he's doing that so he can blow on it and turn it into like a fucking cloud and actually make it rain. But the problem is, when you see a child crying, Bud Tingwell's face isn't, oh, a child's crying. Bud Tingwell's face is like the kind of delight you or I would feel if we like opened a bag we'd found and it was just filled with cash.
Yeah.
Like it is a covetous, desirous, manic grin, which you shouldn't have looking at a tear rolling down a child's cheek. That's an alarm bell.
So he blows it and it goes into a spiral and forms into the sky and makes clouds. It looks some pretty good effect.
I was going to say, a moderately good effect, yeah.
That's pretty good. So Pete gets all happy and runs back up, everyone, and he's like, oh, Derek's going to make it rain. And everyone's kind of like, yeah. Linda and Bronson want their money. The bully shows up going, you're my slave. You're not going to Welsh on the bed, are you?
I was going to say, Gribble Jr. asserts slavers' rights.
Yeah, and... Then a single drop of rain falls on Tony, and they're kind of like gasping.
Yeah.
And then it starts raining.
It's like the end of Lynch's Dune.
Yeah, and they all start like jumping around, all happy and stuff. The bullies look sad.
Derek is the Quitsat Derek.
And
everyone's dancing. I figured this was the end.
Like, it felt like it.
It's like, oh yeah, here's our fucking resolution.
Yeah, and Pete's like,
it wasn't a good episode, but fine.
You're not going to Welsh in the bed, are you, to Gribble? And Gribble's like, oh, shit. He's like, I've blundered.
Then, Pete runs down to find Derek, but nobody's there.
And there's a rainbow.
Yeah, and he twirls under it. And again, at this point, I'm thinking, okay, well, that's the end. Nope.
And it cuts to slightly, just to a second, to the other end of the rainbow where Derek's little camp is, but it doesn't show anything.
No.
It just shows that for a second.
Yeah.
And then goes back to the lighthouse. They're walking down the stairs. Pete's let some of the bullies borrow his clothes. They're like, thanks for the clothes,
because they're wet,
Pete.
yeah.
And Greg's like, do I have to wear Bronson's clothes? To which they like reply, that's how we dress our slaves around here. And let me tell you, he's wearing a shirt that is Bronson's shirt. So
Yeah.
it is just past his nipples.
It's an extremely tight midriff
It's
top.
a midriff top. And
Yeah.
he's wearing tiny little shorts.
Yeah, and wee little boy shorts.
Yeah.
And that's what slaves wear around here. And I think you'll find that's what, 13-year-old boy slaves wear lots of places, actually. You know? As I pointed out, that's what you're wearing.
It is. I am wearing a midriff top and some very cut-off short shorts.
And then Linda says also you're not allowed to speak. You have
No,
to...
wait. She goes, because Pete goes, firstly, I'm going to let Linda borrow
That's
for
right,
a
yeah.
second. And Linda's like, well, around here, you've got to talk like you're a dog. You know how to talk like a dog, don't you, Gribbs? And he goes, woof. And this is looking like my bedroom at this point.
I was going to say, yeah, he's just... I'm sitting there watching the tail end of this, and it's like, oh, what's Gribble? It's like, I just gets turned into you.
So
Which I called him Griblina.
that really killed me. It cuts to outside and a limo's rocked up. A bald-looking bodyguard gets out and knocks on the door.
He looks like a slightly shorter Nathan Jones.
And to which Gribbs opens the door and goes, woof.
I know.
And this is the best acting in the damn show.
It really is.
The guy goes, oh, I'm looking for Pete.
Yeah.
And also the background's green screened.
Yeah, because it's not like a real lighthouse.
No. And to which Gribble goes, woof.
Yeah,
and
just-
motions inside. And it's said with such conviction. And that is the best acting I've seen from this damn show.
It really is even though he said wolf, you know that means, yeah, I'll get him, come in.
So Pete comes out to meet whoever's in the limousine. And it's Derek. He's dressed up in a suit. The leprechaun has this little...
Yeah.
pillow he's sitting on. He's all dolled up in gold and stuff.
Yeah, to be fair, they did mention earlier, there were pots of gold under the rainbow and stuff like that.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that gets me. They've said they've wasted so much rain. We always thought there'd be another rainbow. They're blowing through cash.
Yeah.
Him and the leprechaun are getting fucked. They're on cocaine. They're out in the club.
The leprechaun probably went through a big heroin phase.
Absolutely. And yeah, so he's like, I'm taking the leprechaun back to Ireland. He's like, oh, I'm taking myself, all that stuff. And because he sees the pot of gold and he lets Pete have one.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, take one for your troubles. And then, it's like, all right, so now the fucking theme's going to start. No. We cut to Gribble inside going through the twist crisper, finding, just liquefied vegetable leftovers.
I can smell it.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It's the kind of thing you would see in, a neglected share house fridge. One of those shitty thin plastic bags with, just... vegetables in the bottom with the consistency of vomit.
Yeah. And then, so it zooms out. Gribble's throwing up in the corner. And to, Pete's, talking about what happened. And no one will, Ron's like, next you'll tell me there's a leprechaun gave it to you. Because he's showing everyone the coin.
Yeah.
And he's like, you believe what you want to believe. And that was the end of it.
Yeah, and again, I wanted to... You almost had to marry a Cabbage Patch.
Yeah.
Why am I hearing this? Oh, you made up a fucking leprechaun. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You had a cabbage baby, remember?
Yeah.
You not remember? And yeah, that's the ending.
That's the ending.
And it's what was that about?
It was a long con to get Snapper's love story set up.
That was the most coherent part of this, was the background plot involving the goddamn,
Here comes the penis. It's wearing the little socks that he's...
No, it has a sock garter on it. It's keeping his foreskin back.
No!
That's my foreskin garter. Keeps the old fellow in order.
Oh, God.
I can't... The second you said, here comes the penis, it's all I could see in my head was, pop from fucking,
Yeah,
regular
show.
show Rule 34.
Yeah.
And I don't want to.
No, you don't
I'm not
want that.
doing it.
No one wants that.
I'm trying to enjoy.
There's someone out there who wants that, but
There's someone out there who drew that.
yeah,
That's the part that always gets me about that
you're
fucking
right.
shit.
You're right.
Like, some of the stuff makes sense, and a lot of it I feel is just being done as part of the challenge.
Someday I wish I had artistic talent to unleash things upon the world.
I don't think that part matters. I've seen things.
Oh, definitely. But I want it to be good.
I know. I do love the idea that someone who can't draw is going to try and ever draw a vulva. 'Cause that's a challenge, you know? Like, it's not like a dick.
Yeah.
Like, you can draw anything. You have to work to make things not look like dicks,
That's true.
you know? And then here you're going to fucking have a crack at like that, are you, Mr. Can't Draw a Face?
Because, yeah, so the resolution of this episode is Faye loves Snapper. That's our continuity going forward.
Yeah, Faye's with Snapper for reasons that everyone involved knows are like to do with this fucking book. And it's like, maybe steal the book because, like, it's the book,
It's the book.
you know?
This is a dangerous object.
Yeah.
We've established this.
Maybe read a poem to like a fucking fly, like a house fly, and have it fall in love with you, and then you just kill it. And then that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, there's no weird chain of fucking horny poetry going.
Burn the book.
That's an idea. Maybe this book's not worth having around.
And we're getting closer to the curse. Because once all the pages are done, there's a curse.
Oh, that's right. Cheers to. I'm guessing that'll be the season finale.
I'd say so.
To have, like, I don't know, Snapper fight a bunch of Vikings or some
Oh,
shit.
that would be sweet.
I am kind of like, I do really get that sense that, like, Esmond Storm was just like, you know what, fuck it, if I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Let's, like, because I feel like this was based off of, like, a script called Tears of the Innocents. Because in so many ways, it feels like a longer story that has been absolutely cut down and done in a way that has missed shit that you kind of probably need.
I'm going to Google Tears of the Innocent.
Because, like, all the things are there for, like, a longer piece. And you might have even made them work if you haven't wasted time at the start.
The first thing I get when I Google Tears of
God.
the Innocent is a film overview. A prequel to the film Sorrows of the Orphan.
Where and when is that from? That's funny as shit. I kind of want to see both of those now.
Let me have a look.
I'm going to look up Sorrows of the Orphan.
Feel like it doesn't even have the year it came out.
Oh, holy shit. I think it's Nigerian.
Amazing. Whoa, it is.
Oh, that is fantastic. Yeah, it's one of those like 50-minute long like Nollywood movies. I feel like we've always got to watch that now.
Yeah. No, we 100% have to watch it.
What did you see?
Okay, just this little thumbnail. Just watch it. Watch this.
Oh! Yeah, all right. And yeah, so that's like if the cricket thing did not need to be there, you know,
No.
like the idea that you needed the fucking Bud Tingwell helping him win at cricket to have Pete want to help him, completely unnecessary. And like that's like a solid fucking 5 minutes you could have cut out of this and had like just the fucking threadbare goddamn exposition you needed to set up the rest of the stuff. You know, maybe not have the fucking Snapper stuff in here, or maybe integrate it a little bit better. Because the story, it never settled in to be about, like, you know, believing in yourself and confidence, because it never had, like, the time to do that. And if you wanted to do that story, you know what's better for that as opposed to Bud Tingwell dressed as an Indian going, "Woo, woo, 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 woo." A fucking kid trying to believe he can be good at cricket. A fucking sports story. It is the easiest shit in the world. And then magic Bud Tingwell helps him to fucking be good at cricket. There. That would have been like a better use of Bud Tingwell than talking to like a fucking 35-year-old leprechaun. You know? This was like busting out the fancy silverware for ramen. It was just not good enough for the rest of what was going on in this.
God, I love ramen. Now I want ramen. Why would you say that?
All right, well, Amber, instead of ramen, I've got something much worse for you. And that's where I ask you if you've ever felt like this.
I hope not.
Have you ever made a big bet? Have you ever been dumped over the phone? Have you ever been in a limo? And today's wacky question: have you ever been made to wear a midriff top and say "woof"?
I feel that's targeted harassment.
I'm feeling really targeted right now. I just came here to have a good time. Have you ever made a big bet? Kind of fun bet, a wackier, you know. Not necessarily
I've
going
never
to
been
the...
big on betting because I don't like parting with money in ways that aren't skill-based.
I am almost unable to predict a positive outcome of any behavior or activity. I just assume everything's going to go fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And so why would I want to do that?
Yeah. I don't feel I have.
The only one I can think of off the top of my head was that stupid fucking Mario Kart thing.
Oh, no, that is. Okay, yep. That counts.
All right.
That definitely counts.
Then I had to drink that.
Yeah, the fucking warhead juice
Yeah.
that nearly made you go blind.
I can't stress... Okay, so, like, you know, I don't know if you've ever had sour warheads at home, but, like, former Nazi scientists created, like, just a tube of that as juice.
And it was a spray. You're supposed to spray it in your mouth.
That's right, yeah, it was a spray, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to get, like, a spritzer's worth.
Yeah, it gives you that sour taste without sucking on the lolly.
Which is actually not a bad invention. Really,
No, that's pretty cool.
Could probably sprinkle it on a salad.
Yeah.
And
But you had to drink that.
Yeah, and then I just had to like drink an entire tube of it.
Oh.
And that the thing is I really like that sour shit.
Yeah.
But there's a point of that where my body just recognizes something's wrong. And I'm absorbing too much of whatever that fucking sugary sourness is. And I could feel that in my blood.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking hated that to a degree that, like... I mean, the cinnamon wasn't even that bad by comparison. Because once you spat it out, it was over. The cinnamon sucks when it's in your mouth. That's it. That shit was inside me.
Ugh.
And I had to wait for it to pass. And I think my piss smelled weird. And I'm pretty sure you could find it on fucking... It's on the fucking YouTube, isn't it?
Is, yeah. That and the cinnamon.
I still rate the fucking warhead juice worse. I don't think anyone's ever supposed to consume that much fucking liquid warhead. Yeah, fuck God.
Okay, yeah, that takes care of that question.
That gave me PTSD. Ever been dumped over the phone? Or done dumping over the phone? We'll make it 2 ways.
No.
I mean, I think I've been technically dumped via text, but that I didn't realize we were going out.
Yeah, something similar happened to me. I got dumped with a letter.
See, that almost feels like more effort, you know? Like, that feels like 1800s-y.
Yeah, but like we
a
lived
letter?
together and I showed up and she was gone and there was a letter.
Oh.
So like that's
Okay, no, yeah, that's funny.
that
That's
hurt.
yeah.
That hurt a lot. But no, never on the phone.
Letter on the table. So no one's ever been dumped. Woof.
No.
Yeah, no. The only time stuff that's ever happened to me was just like, okay, I wasn't entirely certain we were dating or anything, but okay. Have you ever been in a limo?
Once. I can't even remember why.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I've been in a limo, but like I was fuck shit wasted, and I think that's the only times.
It's generally the only times most people are.
Yeah, because why else would you be in a fucking limo?
No.
You're either going to your formal or you're fucking munted.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a friend hired a limo and we were really fucked. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, for me it was like a fucking end of year work thing, and it was like, you know, the boss was trying to be fancy and just like, here's a limo and everything, and I'd fucking... I was pretty well wasted before we... But that was back when I could, like, you know... Like, I was wasted, but not wasted. You know, like, I could put away, like, an entire bottle of spirits before the evening began and still be, like... Provided, like, I steadied on when I got out, I was usually all right. That was back when I could hold it. Hold it. I have never been made to wear a midriff top and say woof. I can say that much.
I'm wearing a midriff top right now, and I wear a dog collar every day of my life. What the fuck do you think?
Amber, you stupid slut.
Yeah, pretty much. So yes. Yes. The answer is yes.
All right. Let's go through the fucking letters from the mutants.
Drinking whiskey out of a dog bowl.
That was unprompted. I like that one.
And the best part of it is it was dog whiskey.
What?
It was like...
The red tick beer from The Simpsons? There was a dog paddling around.
Kinda.
Like...
No, it was a peanut butter whiskey. And like they fashioned like the bottle to kind of like be dog-like, like with pour and everything, because like obviously peanut butter and dogs.
I don't know.
It was called Sheepdog. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was really good. God, that peanut butter whiskey was good.
Yeah, I'm allergic, so
yeah, no, I know.
And I was never a whiskey man.
Yeah.
You know, it tastes like an ashtray.
Yeah.
See, I liked, back when I was like still putting it away, Herradura Blanco tequila. Like I do like a good white tequila and I mean a good white tequila because like this is very nice. There's a very unique sort of middle of the tongue flavor to it that's distinct. Like you're tasting something, but it's not like fucking horrible, and it's not that thing where they've tried to like cover it up.
These days I'm on hard solo because I
didn't even know that existed.
It's insane.
Is it actually hard solo? Like, is it solo? Or?
Yeah. They had to change the name.
That's fucking funny as shit.
With the connotation, but yeah, now it's called hard rated. But yeah, it's just solo with alcohol in it, and you don't taste it.
Yeah.
So it is
dangerous
devilishly dangerous because like I'll go to the pub and order a pint of this and drink that shit, and like I'll drink it like it's a solo, like it's a glass of solo. It's gone. It's gone. I have one of those, and you just slide.
Yeah.
Because it's like.
It was like the old fucking, high school classic of vodka and prosciutto where you just don't notice it. It'll fuck you up.
It's good. I enjoy it. And like we went to the Bavarian place with my mum like a few weeks ago. You can get a liter of it.
The Bavarian Beer Garden? Is that place still around?
Not the Bavarian Beer Garden. It's called the Bavarian.
Oh, okay.
It's just a German place at Chermside. But yeah, they do up to 2 liter options of most of their drinks. And they bring out this Stein that is giant.
I'm trying to think about how that's legal. And it must be because it's assumed to be like shared. Because
I don't know.
Well, generally, you get it in a big jug, and you're supposed to decant it into your own like little like. Does it come with 2 smaller glasses?
No.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's just a big fuck off glass.
That's fairly wild. Because there are rules about like serving sizes for like booze. You're not allowed to just hey, can I have a whole bucket of rum? Like
No, they have 2 liter glasses.
It feels like it's using a loophole. That feels like a loophole to get around some shit.
Yeah.
I would hate to work in a place that was handing out 2 liter fucking glasses of like spiritus fucking solo.
Yeah, it's probably a bad idea.
I'm just gonna deal with some shit, aren't I? It's gonna be fucking and at Chermside no less. That is just gonna fuck me. I just can't. Oh god. Hello once again, Amber and Gabe. I apologize for another long one, but it has been a while and we have a bunch of stories to share. As far as being stuck in a storm, my wife was born during an ice storm that lasted for days. When she was a kid during a summer program at her school, she ended up caught during an intense thunderstorm that included a flash flood warnings. My wife has always been terrified of thunder and lightning, and when her dad came to pick her up due to the school being evacuated, he burrito wrapped her in a blanket to carry her out to the car. She stayed like that for the ride home, in which the creeks and rivers broke their banks and took over the roads. A bad storm also hit on our wedding day at the beach. I think your wife is Raiden. We were staying in the hotel room across from the restaurant when the ceremony was to happen, and the wind was so bad that in the time it took to cross a 2-lane street, both of our umbrellas were turned inside out with every bit of metal in the canopies snapping. The gods disapprove of this union. When it comes to school projects, back in high school physics class, I was assigned a project to build carts out of cardstock to protect eggs. I and the girl I was paired with decided to make ours look like a tank. It was a very crude design with a 6x6x2 square turret. Don't tell me that turret fucking gauge, you autistic. In which the egg would sit atop a 6x12x2 rectangular hull with cardstock wheels and a cardstock bumper on the front. As a little extra feature, I also decided to give the egg soldier a little cardstock helmet. For the actual test, the egg carts were rolled down an incline into a cinder block. If the eggs even cracked, the test was considered a failure. We watched a few of the other teams go first, with most succeeding. One team had theirs explode on impact, and a few people hit a few people with egg white. When our turn finally came, we watched our tank smack into the block and launch the egg out of the turret due to its high placement. It hit the block helmet first at a worrying speed. Upon close inspection, the egg was completely intact, to everyone's astonishment, not only nabbing us the highest grade, but teaching us how important helmets are. Unfortunately, we could have used a few helmets for the next stories. My wife and I both have many head injuries.
That is a way to start a fucking sentence. You grabbed me. You grabbed me right at the start. That's a good one.
I know.
Because like, I can just imagine, like, them squaring off in the living room, butting their heads together.
They're just sitting on a couch, just things are hitting them in the head, like, just clocks are falling off walls, cat knocks over a vase, like, just everywhere they go, stuff's just hitting them.
I have many head injuries.
My wife and I, it's literally, first, my wife and I both have many head injuries, but I will try to tell abridged versions of the more notable ones. That means this is like, A, they're already shortening the head injury stories. B, this is just a selection. This is a curated list of a much larger volume.
Can we start a head injury podcast?
Fucking, I want to now. Oh, God. Okay, you're not ready for this one. When my wife was a baby, her mum's very tall friend accidentally lifted her into a ceiling fan.
Oh!
With the blade hitting her head multiple times. How do you hold a baby into a...
Just keep holding it.
Yeah, like, how do you hold it up there for more than one donk?
And how are you not getting hit yourself?
How any of that?
It was on purpose.
Like just a baby laughing, like just head getting walloped by a fucking goddamn fan. She had no apparent injuries. Another time, her mum put her in a baby carrier on the kitchen counter at the wrong angle, and she ended up falling off. Again, she had no apparent injuries. When she was 2, this is before 2, a large iron rod that had been propped against a tree fell on her head. This may have knocked her out, but her grandfather was holding on to her too tightly and yelling, "I've killed her," for anyone to know for sure. She did end up with an enormous goose egg. This past Easter, my wife concussed herself in a church nursery when we were picking up our daughter, the one we were raising as an emu. I don't even know what to do with that.
What?
The rooms have Dutch doors, and she was unaware that the top had closed over her when she went to stand. The blow cut her scalp, and a goose egg immediately started to form. She insisted that our daughter and I do the Easter egg hunt while she went to find ice. She wandered off into the church kitchen and eventually ended up with a baggie of ice in her hand around the time the hunt ended. I tried to convince her to go to urgent care, but she was vehemently against it. I did monitor her for the rest of the day and woke her up multiple times during her Sunday nap.
I'm sorry, but if you cut your scalp and you have a giant concussion-looking thing on there, I don't recommend going for multiple naps.
This is the funniest. I wanted something to beat the deck child.
We have...
Yeah, and we've just got, like...
The head injury family. Look, all I'm saying is protect your daughter now.
I know, like...
Don't let her go down this path.
She needs an all-the-time helmet. Okay, now here's another sentence. My worst head injury involving my brain was when I walked into a door frame in high school. I like that this has to be, like, this is head injuries subcategory brain.
If this was a no laughing show, I'd be fucked.
Tie kick.
Yeah.
The hallway in which this happened had 2 sets of doors, one single, one double. I wasn't paying attention at the time. I feel like in general, as a family, you all need to go to paying attention class. Like that might be useful. There's nothing here. I wasn't paying attention at the time and found the frame between the two. Just banged head. I hit my head pretty hard, but didn't think much of it until I got to my next class, math. I didn't think much of it because I just hit my head constantly, and that capacity is now taken from me. The teacher passed out tests, and imagine my surprise when I couldn't recognize any of the numbers. The best way to describe what was going on was I recognized the symbols. The symbols were numbers, but somewhere between my eyes and the processing their meaning, something got scrambled, and they ended up just being patent squiggles.
Oh no.
That is, and like, I joke about that a lot. Yeah, no, I joke about like, oh yeah, I'm just going to forget shapes. And it's like, no, that can happen.
You go see someone straight away.
Yeah. I was fine the next day. But it was really difficult playing Fallout 3 when I got home that day.
No shit! You couldn't comprehend numbers. How do you think you're gonna read?
My mother had a similar experience when she was younger, but hers made her temporarily illiterate.
Ah!
Are you the Flintstones? Like, what the fuck?
Temporarily illiterate. The fact that head injuries runs in your family.
This is insane.
Because, like, you know,
I feel like I
get,
wasn't
like,
far
having
off.
a family history of diabetes, you know, mental illness, that sort of shit. But this is something that physically can happen to you that can be prevented, and somehow your family is a cosmic magnet for bumping heads. You met someone and married someone who had the same affliction. Did you open a chest when you were younger and it cursed you?
May this forever be on your head! Good lord.
Because that's what I feel like it is. You need to go see a coven.
I feel like...
Go see a gypsy. You need healing.
Or go apologize to one.
Yeah.
As far as an injury to my face, I love that face injuries are again a separate category. When I was, I think, 7 or 8, I had a tire swing in my backyard. So over under what precisely the fucking injury is here. I was playing on it with some neighbor kids, one of which was on top of the swing with me through the hole, while another kid pushed. They were both older, and one got on the swing with me and wanted to go faster. I did not, because I noticed we were swinging closer towards the tree with each push. Finally, after a particularly strong push, the swing went almost straight for the tree. The kid on top jumped off, and physics being how it is, this action put my face directly into the bark. See, the thing is, my first thought was, okay, so you got hit in the head with a tire swing.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, my second thought was, no. He will be swung into something.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be normal. This can't just be, you got bumped by a fucking, you know. The kid put my face directly into the bark, turning the right side of my face to hamburger. How much? What the? I now have a crescent-shaped scar above my jawline, which is only visible when I take a hot shower. But the facial hair that grows there has turned white before any other.
Wild.
Oh, good God. I have also had my left cornea accidentally scratched by our cat and been bitten in the face by a Great Pyrenees, who was 1 centimeter away from costing me my right eye.
What is a Great Pyrenees?
Google it. It's a big one. Like, I need you to understand that this goes into the head injury lore so perfectly. Like, you just the likelihood of you being near one of
see.
Let me see the picture you got. Yeah. It's not called the Little Pyrenees.
Oh, that's a Great Pyrenees.
Yeah. I'm
those things are...
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised that the head... I mean, I think it's a testament to how durable his head is after all of this. You know?
I want to study cranial measurements.
I fucking do now. Oh, God. It's more family lore.
Please, I want to do a podcast on this family now.
When my wife's father was born, the attending doctor came to work drunk. My father-in-law was a large baby, while his mother was rather petite. He ended up a bit stuck, and the doctor in his inebriated wisdom decided to pull my father-in-law out with tongs, leaving a large dent in his skull that remains to this day. I hope you found our amusingly traumatic stories as entertaining as they were to reminisce and write about. Hopefully it explains some of the rest of the stories we've told.
Yes, we did.
I mean, it does explain a bit, but just, dad, her dad, his head was reshapen by tongs. You know, your mum forgot words briefly from a fucking brain injury. I've been hit in the head hard. I've never lost a faculty. You know, like, I've never lost a whole fucking thing. And I've been hit in the head pretty fucking hard. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think your brain has to be nothing but, like, just bruised tissue at this point. I feel like it's one of those things we should study, like how every now and then they find one of those people who's, like, most of their brain is just water.
You could have become a boxer or a wrestler.
I think he's got Homer Simpson syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, he's just immune to CTE. You know, there's just nothing to concuss. It's like it began life as a concussion, and now the concussed parts just regrew into a functional brain.
I wonder if there's a point of force and amount of times we get hit you to make you smarter.
I think if we were ever to find someone to test that on, it's this. I can't just in my head, it's like this reverse Baby's Day Out, where
Yeah.
there's this Rube Goldberg machine going on around this family at all times, and every single bit of it winds up with a hard thing interacting with a skull.
It's insane.
Yeah, and it's just those cartoon bonk sound effects.
Yeah.
Like, why even buy a big wooden Gallagher mallet anyway? Like, you're just asking for trouble. From a Keep It Classy fan. Have you ever had a beloved doll or figure? Yes. My parent would buy me gigantic buckets of toy army men, the small green ones in various action poses. Somewhere in those buckets were 4 blue ones. Huh. Those 4 turned into the main characters of my army men collection. They would be the commanders of all the large-scale battlefields I'd make in the yard. Something about unique colors in a sea of single colors just jived with me. I imagine it's how people feel when they get those shiny Pokemon. I ended up putting those 4 army men in a tiny capsule and buried it in the yard of the first house I lived. I'd like to believe they are still there, but it's been nearly 20 years, and I don't know who lives there now. Side note, I'm going to take a guess that someone in this collection of emails will have a Sonic doll figure story. I'll be surprised if I'm wrong. Have you ever had to do a big clean? My mother owned a cleaning service called Affordable Janitorial. It was a family-run business in the sense that her 4 children
Affordable
helped after school.
janitorial is so close to affordable genitals.
That's the rickety gender surgery clinic you don't want to go to. You know, it's like affordable genitals. Affordable, is that what I want to go with here? Is affordable? I'm going to head to Bob Jane's T-Girls. In the sense that her 4 children helped after school. She got a contract for what I believe was a business that researched and dug oil. During one summer, they threw a company-wide party, and even as a fairly messy child, I had never seen an office building look so trashed in my life. It was a 3-day cleanup effort spanning late Friday to Sunday night. They at least had the courtesy to line the floor in plastic, so the spilled drinks could probably roll up with the puddles while they partied, which did save us some pretty massive carpet stains we would have had to have cleaned otherwise. It got me thinking the rich people probably don't think about messes. Have you had any glue accidents? I recall a prank a friend of mine used to pull when he was 8 years old. Anytime the class would work on craft project with glue, he would sniff his clear glue bottle. I don't think that's a prank.
No, I think your friend is Charlie.
He'd lean over to the person next to him and ask to sniff their white glue bottle. He'd make a confused look and ask why his smelled funny. He'd remove the cap and sniff some more. When the other student would get curious, he'd hold the bottle to their nose. If they sniffed big, he would squeeze. Okay, now that's a prank. He would squeeze the bottle with everything they had. He was suspended after this led to a fight with another student over his aggressive outbursts, which my friend won because his opponent was a stun locked from the glue plugging his nose. Have you ever had an evil doll experience? All right, now this is fantastic because just the opening sentence is this, and I just feel like I should stop. I had a cousin named Patty.
Fantastic.
I know, like, do we need to go any further? I feel like that's self-explanatory.
That's yeah.
Her father owned a trucking business, which apparently means you are rich, because she had a massive vintage Barbie collection beginning from ones her mother collected and handed down to ones her father got her. She did reserve a corner of her room for the few Barbies she did unbox and played with. She always had them naked with their faces to the ground and asses to the sky.
Oh.
I don't like that as a sentence just dead in the middle of all of that. They were also horribly scribbled on in Spanish. I couldn't even read Spanish at the time. Even as a kid, I found that strange. That is strange. That's a very strange thing to do. I feel like there's a deeper story, though. In 2015, she auctioned off her collection in Hollywood. I never got to the exact amount she made, but it was enough to fund her college studies. She also used the money to help her brother's affliction, as he had become horribly addicted to crack, as well as energy drinks mixed with protein shakes.
Oh, no!
Energy drinks mixed with protein shakes? You don't want to mix that with crack.
You don't want to mix that with anything. You don't want to mix energy drinks with protein in the first place. Add crack on top of that?
All I can picture is the most buff crackhead you've ever seen. Like, basically Abomination without the gills.
Your heart...
Just walking around the streets like...
Also, your heart can't be good.
Yeah.
Because, like...
That's not...
Generally, people who are, like, on protein shakes have 2 to 3 a day.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably, honestly, the protein shakes are the only things keeping him alive. If the rest of it's crack and energy drinks, at least you're getting something in there. Again, I can only picture Abomination.
Yeah.
Just crackhead, but somehow buff. Like a nourished crackhead is just a weird thing to picture.
Guy from Double Dragon, a Bobo.
A Bobo, yeah!
Yeah.
Crack a Bobo. He's not looking for a Boboy, he's looking for more crack. He sold a Boboy for crack.
What does he do?
God, these are fucked. God, all of these are just so fucked. I have felt like this. Greetings, Deck Child and Murgatroyd. I have felt like this. Have you ever had any glue accidents? I have had many suboptimal interactions with glue. Oh, God. Not so much an individual story as a series of vignettes, though. All right. I went to school in rural Scotland where the good glue, that is the stuff the students would try to steal to sniff, was kept in a safe in the craft teacher's office. That is bleak, man. Yeah. On one occasion, the safe was left open and unattended, and one of the ferals got in and stole a full can of sniffy glue without being caught. This led to a teacher discovering a large number of students huddled beneath a decrepit port cabin they used as a classroom in the next break, huffing the glue from an empty plastic bottle. As I recall, they just shook their head and left. Since then, I have put glue to more constructive uses and am quite good at dressing wounds with super glue. The nearest hospital is over an hour from where I grew up, so generally I just use what was around, and since then, I haven't found much need for the fancy wound spray. You kids and your first aid spray, I just use glue! Dab it on and huff it. The hardware store superglue is way cheaper than the medical stuff. It works just as well on wounds and is considerably better for fixing other things. The trick is to get the wound clean first, then hold the skin together so it lines up, and glue over the wound and not into it. A lot of people fuck that bit up and just end up with a cut full of glue.
Ugh.
I now live in America, and the cost of medical care here is so high that the back alley first aid knowledge gained in my youth is very useful. At a colleague's insistence, I did try to use a first aid kit at work after I put a scalpel through the webbing of my thumb. Ugh. It contained a survival blanket, a whistle, and nothing else, which wasn't particularly useful in a lab, so I went back to the glue drawer and patched myself up. They now think I'm mental. As far as gluing myself to things, the worst I've managed was gluing a screwdriver, my fingers, and my tongue together. Alright, now look. That... one of these things is not like the other. Yeah, I know, you're trying to go through it in your head.
Cause like, is your tongue glued to the screwdriver in your fingers?
Are
they all glued together at the same time, or is the screwdriver?
I don't think there's an explanation of the specifics of how that happened forthcoming.
I see.
A tube of super glue had leaked onto my hand while using it without me noticing. Okay. Oh. And I picked up a screwdriver which attached itself to my hand.
Oh.
Okay. All right. No, this is okay. Water and gentle prizing apart usually work well to unglue yourself from things. My logic was that my tongue is wet and can apply some force.
Oh, shit.
Using it to try to free my hand was a poor decision. It also tasted awful. I imagine someone walking into, like, the office and, I don't know, the fucking kitchenette or whatever, and just a fucking screwdriver and a hand and then tongue. Oh, there's old Mongo. You keep him round to do the tidying, and he can eat the chemicals he finds. Have you ever had to do chores? As said, I grew up in rural Scotland, which is essentially like being in the past.
Whoa.
That got me. It's like being in the past. Ah. In fact, I've since moved to America, where historical exhibits and museums often feature tools and household items I grew up using. Growing up, I lived in the top 2 floors of a house. Wow, a house! Which was a bit over 200 years old and faced the North Sea. Because of this, I was continually trying to fall down. Okay. I made the mistake of showing some interest and worse, putting aptitude for doing repairs and handiwork, so I got some pretty weird chores over the years. My family were tight-fisted in a way Scots would say was thrifty, and anyone from civilized society would call insane. This led to activities such as collecting enough gravel to make a patio area in the garden by going to the beach and filling the boot of my car many times, rather than actually paying for it. This unwillingness to spend money also resulted in a lot of use of my free labor. In hindsight, renewing the creosote on a wooden second-story extension was a weird chore to give to a child of about 12. I think that almost beats your paint a house.
I think it does, yeah.
For those born in the modern era and thus unfamiliar, creosote is a carcinogenic wood preservative made from the byproducts of coal gas manufacture, which are dissolved in naphtha. It's mainly used industrially on rail tiles, and I have no idea where my father got it. That's fantastic.
I see.
To make it go further, he would mix it with used motor oil and leaded gasoline to also help preserve the wood. Every fucking story today has been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Leaded gasoline. Where did he even get that? Stupid question. Well, he just had fucking buckets of it left over.
Mining it.
The obvious fire hazard is less of a concern in a place where it rains 250 days a year. I spent a week on rickety wooden ladder spreading the black liquid on the extension. I also discovered that it would remove human skin on prolonged contact.
Whoa.
That sucked as a chore, but honestly wasn't too bad, as it went well and I only had to do it once. A chore which went less well was pruning the willow tree. I imagine it's because the willow tree could fight back.
that definitely sounds like it.
The willow tree was growing at an inclined angle over an outbuilding where we stored the chemicals. God. You sound like you come from, like, Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Oh, the willow tree is alive. It's where we stored the T-virus. And that fungus that comes to life.
Yeah.
I think all of this really explains just, why we've kind of plateaued with the Patreon. I just feel like none of these people have what we'd consider Earth money.
No, unfortunately
Nor
not.
do I feel good taking money away from people whose heads seem to be
The
object
head injury
magnets.
family needs their money.
The head injury family.
I got nothing else. That's what I got to
No,
call it.
I know. There's just the deck child, the head injury family.
We're building we're building our own library of cryptoids.
Oh, this is turning into an X-Men of people who just cause problems.
To me, my problems.
My less men.
Fucking last man.
Brain injury. You could just hit him in the fucking head. Fucking, Juggernaut belted it. Nothing fucking happened.
We take him to a bar and just leave him where the bar swings open so they hit him
Oh.
so we can get compensation free booze.
It's how we fund the rest of the school. Oh, God. Every time the government banned some pesticide or material, or there was a chance to get some of one which was usually restricted to industrial laboratory use, such as the aforementioned creosote, my father would get as much as he could.
Oh, God.
Okay, there was a thing
They're
on...
taking the thing that makes people sick off the market. Stockpile!
Stockpile, yeah. It causes mutations. This one ate a baby. Like, there was a joke on Twitter the past, couple of weeks of a guy saying he just puts every chemical he can into a pool in his backyard.
I saw that. Yeah.
This is that, but
Yeah,
real.
It's real, yeah.
Frequently into the 100-kilogram quantities. The tree was in the process of falling into the outbuilding, so I was told to cut a few branches off it to stop this. I was about 13 and had no idea how to cut down a tree. Well, at least I had no idea of how to cut down a tree safely. I definitely knew how to use a bow saw with considerable enthusiasm. This led to a situation where I had climbed the tree to try and saw off an offending branch. My 13-year-old self was very pleased at having thought not to sit on the branch I was cutting, but did not have the forethought not to stand on the branch below it.
Oh, no.
As I finished the cut, I discovered the branches are heavy. It fell, and I caught it, which pulled me out of the tree. I then fell with the branch through the asbestos roof of the outbuilding and landed on a large sack of fertilizer in a cloud of dust. This could have gone much worse, as I missed the acid shelf and the mercury bucket.
That's a lot.
Tree cutting also sucked as a chore, and led to a follow-up chore of patching the hole in the roof with a roll of lead sheet and some tar. Acid shelf. Acid shelf was bad. Mercury bucket.
That's a lot.
Not even a lid.
No, bucket.
Imagine if you'd hit the acid shelf and rolled into the mercury bucket. Like, honest fucking Lee. We've got, the world's buffest crackhead, seemingly indestructible skull, chemical boy. I need some drawings of these things. The worst chores were more mundane, though. I don't believe you. I don't believe. I think if someone gave me two chores, one was mundane and the other involved possibly falling into the acid shelf, I'd say that the mundane one was probably not the worst one. Scotland is wet, cold, and windy, and in winter it's dark, partly because of the thick cloud, but mainly because it's a long way north, and the sun just can't be bothered. As said, we lived in the upper two floors of the house, as I'm assuming the bottom two floors were just owned by, fucking some goblins. Ghouls! That's where the ghoulies lived.
Oh, no. Oh.
Oh, God, it had an external it wasn't even two floors with an internal stairway. The upper two floors of the house with an external stairway, which would be icy in winter. Our main source of heat was a coal fire. I'm surprised we even had that. In autumn, the coal man would deliver 1.5 tons of coal to the coal bunker, a nightmare black pit in the yard, which would turn anything which ventured near it black with coal dust, and which was infested with spiders and slugs. Lord! This is the start of a fantasy novel. You know, this is where the sad kid lives at the start. This is like Under the Stairs for like, you know, the modern era. It's like, oh, I lived on the top floor of the chemical warehouse near the coal pit, and the coal slugs would come and crawl on me at night because I was warm. The coal fire would burn continually from September until April, and keeping it going meant refueling it before bed unless you wanted ice inside your window in the morning. This involved a trip down the icy stairs in the dark wind, and whichever of sleet, hail, freezing rain, or snow was happening that day, to the coal bunker with 2 buckets. After bumping around in the filthy darkness, trying not to think about the squishy things I was standing on, I would have 2 wet, dirty, heavy buckets of coal to carry back up the icy stairs to the house. I feel I have a higher appreciation for gas central heating than most people. It feels like he lives in the other place in Silent Hill. You know? I would have to go down past Pyramid Head to get to the coal. Provided you hadn't thought anything terrible, Pyramid Head would leave you alone. The skin bags that vomited acid at you, though, they were a little more hostile. Another god-awful chore was getting the potatoes for dinner. Oh, God. Being rural and tight-fisted, we grew these ourselves. Unfortunately, the chemicals had made them sentient. Now, unfortunately, this meant that the ingredients for dinner were in the garden and underground, which is not a convenient place for them to be. I would get the job of retrieving the potatoes. This involved sifting through the soil where they're planted with a garden fork and picking them out of the mud. Inevitably, some are rotten and squish, releasing an awful smell when you go to pick them up. Deeper into winter, the ground would freeze and you'd be broken open before I could sift through the ice-cold mud and worms. I hate potatoes. Fortunately, I can now say that I haven't eaten a boiled potato or been to rural Scotland in 7 years. Or several years. I hope my chores from the past, or as it is also known, Scotland, bought you some schadenfreude. Great to see you back on the podcast. Keep up the great work. Jesus, mother-loving Christ. There's still more. This one's short.
I don't know if I can take anymore.
It's been a day.
It's been a day.
Long-time listener, first-time writer. Have I ever had a beloved doll or figure? Yes. I, like many other people of my age, became a fan of Freddy Fazfuck and that series of games when they released in about 2014. I'm 22 now and as distant from that fan base as possible, but I do keep a plush figure of one of the characters. It's my 3rd one after losing the first in hospital and the 2nd in a house fire back in April. I have briefly spoken with Amber about that earlier this year. I am doing well now and have a duplex. I may be old enough to drive, go to war, and get sloshed, but this stupid little fox still keeps the nightmares to a minimum. I'll spare answering as per Big Cleans, as that's every bloody day in my house, and instead bring up having a glue accident to close off. Back when I was 12 and getting into scale modeling, I brought a bottle of CA adhesive meant to bond just about anything. Well, it did. I spilled it onto my lap one particular day, and not only did it seep immediately towards my bag and rod, it also smoked for a solid 3 seconds, while it reacted with the denim in my jeans.
Jesus.
Took about 3 hours to remove the affected parts, and a week to get it all off. Still have the scars! He glued sack to shaft! At least he didn't get the beans above the frank.
This day keeps coming.
I'll cut myself off now, as I'm sure I have been naught but boring. Thanks for the laughs and a break from the anxiety, Amber and Gabe. Hope to see more Brown the Tits soon. Oh, don't worry, that wasn't boring.
That was far from boring. At least my brain can go, oh. Unlike the head injury family that just keeps on coming. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm going to lie awake at night thinking about them.
And just the things hitting their head.
Yeah, because, there's more. There's the stories. There's categories of injuries. There's...
I know, that's the best. Head injuries, brain.
Head injuries, face.
Yeah, head injuries, face. Just amazing.
I imagine whenever you get hit, it's like the Pit Boy, with showing the portion of the body that gets damaged.
Their head's just been crippled for just forever and they're never fixing it. Greetings, Amber and Gabe. Loving your Ever Felt Like This series. I hope you're both going as well as can be expected during this point in history. Enjoy my weird anecdotes. Have you ever had a beloved doll or figure? I had a bunch of the old Alien toys that Kenner made back in the 90s. Those ruled.
Rad.
Yeah, those fucking ruled. I got them as a kid and having never seen the Alien films, which is weird. That's the weird part is I think that was a lot of kids.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because back then, if you saw a toy that was cool, especially if other people had that toy, you're like, I fucking want that toy.
And look, of that fucking, 90s fucking run, Those aliens were some of the best. That Alien vs Predator comic, like the ones based on the comic line, were the best for like overall figure quality, but also like some kind of function. You know, each one was like based on an animal and would have like some deal it had that made it like special, and that's what you fucking want.
Yeah.
When I adored those figures a ton. When I first moved out, my folks put them in a ton of my old toys in a giant box in the shed. After I discovered my housemate was an exhibitionist furry. No hate, I just got sick of walking in on activities. I moved in with a friend. The new place had far more room, so I went home to grab my old toys for display. My folks had thrown them all away at some point without telling me. I was and still am gutted. Love those toys, especially the bull alien with a retractable neck so you could headbutt the crap out of other
You should
figures.
sue them.
Yeah.
And get more alien toys.
Have you ever had to do a big clean? Yes, several times, mainly moving house. The biggest one was my last rental house. My housemate and I spent a full 4 days meticulously scouring the whole house because our landlady was a horrid woman who would use any excuse to keep our bond. Wore our fingers to the bone. She still tried to take our bond, but luckily our real estate agent backed us up. Landlord wanted our whole bond. She basically bypassed her and said we could just pay 25%. Still rip off, but the best we were going to get. Have you ever had any glue accidents? Yep. I started putting together and painting Warhammer minis when I was 8 or 9. I was super impatient, and this led to paint jobs looking like bad Jackson Pollocks. It also led to me getting expensive and delicate metal miniatures stuck to my hands all too often. The worst one I ever recall was after I'd been using superglue. I casually itched my eye without thinking and partially glued my eye shut. It stung like a bitch, but luckily no hospital trip was needed. Just some scalding hot water, my mother's iron fingernails, and a lot of swearing. Have you ever had an evil doll experience? Unfortunately, yes. When my grandmother passed away, her stuff was divided fairly unevenly across her kids. My mother ended up being the recipient of a truly horrid old doll. It was in poor condition, being dirty and its hair having partially rotted off. It had no eyebrows either, which made things worse. It also had an odor I could never really compare to anything else. Closest thing would be a mixture of mothballs, iodine, and rot. For whatever reason, Mum loved this doll and tried to clean and patch it up. She was partially successful, but it still creeped me the fuck out. She also had a habit of leaving it sitting in a chair at the dinner table or propping it in a corner where it wasn't immediately noticeable.
Excellent.
Nowadays, it still catches me by surprise when I go back to visit them. I have attached a few photos for your viewing pleasure. Oh, holy shit. This was even months after my mother's restoration. Even so, don't look at them too long. Bonus evil doll story. Growing up, one of my best mates and her sister had a Furby. They swear it was haunted and said it would speak by itself at night. We all took this with a big helping of salt because sanity. We did witness it once open its eyes unprompted, open its mouth, and give out a weird electronic tone that always reminded me of the famous Donald Sutherland screech from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. After that, I think her sister put it in the freezer to kill it. Alright, show me this fucking doll. Open it. Open, I say. Oh, Lord. Oh, God. The haircut makes it look like Yolandi Visser.
Can't just fucking jump scare me with Yolandi like that.
Fuck you. Oh, I got another
I had not been thinking about fucking that in a long time.
Here's one from the outside. We'll put these. We'll put these up somewhere. Probably, I don't know. We'll get them onto the fucking video file or something. But here, this is great.
Antwood.
Yeah, that's from outside. You can see the doll inside. That's fantastic. I love that. All right, last one. Get through all of them. We won't have a back catalogue next time. Hello yet again, Amber and Gabe. Today we bring wholesome stories about plushies and less than wholesome stories about glue. A few days after I was born, I received a plush lamb I named Lammy, who I used as my pillow for over a decade. He, along with a snuggle bear named TT Bear, short for Travel Teddy, went everywhere up and down the east coast of the US and as far west as Arkansas, owing to the many road trips my family and I used to take. I still have them to this day, and they definitely look their age. When my wife was young, she had an official Animal Planet growling crocodile plush that she carried around everywhere, including school vacations. Sadly, she can't remember its name anymore. When she was 12, between two moves, it got lost. As a replacement that Christmas, she received a plus of the Xenomorph Soldier Chestburster. Okay. For her birthday next year, she then received a Queen Chestburster. Ah, cool. She proceeded to carry them everywhere and sleep with one on each shoulder. Self-admitted until she was probably older than she should have. When she was pregnant with our daughter, we even dressed her as part of our Halloween costumes. Our daughter has 4 plushies of note. The first one being a Beanie Baby pig bag charm. I don't know, that sentence is just baffling to me. That she used to carry literally everywhere she went. To keep her from losing her piggy, I bought a rat harness and a leash. Her most unusual plush is a 1.7 meter long black bass named Fishy Bon, which used to be mine, but she now uses as a pillow. She also has a blob of a black cat from a godparent that she named Kitty, a giant toad that I originally brought for myself, and she immediately fell in love with and named Toady. These last two she refuses to sleep without. Moving on to my glue misadventures in elementary school, I used to coat my hands in glue and let it dry so I could peel it off, often to the confusion of my fellow classmates and teachers. Later, I used to superglue my hands together as a kind of party trick because I knew the secret to getting them apart without harm. I had to stop doing this after one time when preparing for the trick. I tried to remove the plug of dried superglue from the nozzle with my teeth and ended up accidentally gluing my jaw shut for about an hour. This next story is a long-standing source of embarrassment for me, but my wife encouraged me to tell it. Excellent. All right, I need you to just, prepare yourself for this next sentence.
Okay, preparing.
Yeah. Oh, actually, before I forget, this is the head injury family as well.
I see. I am definitely preparing.
As I mentioned in my penis stories email a while back, I have experienced quite a bit of horrific penile trauma. So the head injury is also like the head of the penis.
Doesn't matter what head it is.
Yeah. When I was in middle school, I began to dabble in woodworking, and the chief glue I used was Gorilla Glue. It's extremely effective, but not the type of thing you want on your skin. After one day of woodworking, I had a thin layer set on my palms, which would not come off with any amount of scrubbing. Middle school is also when I discovered masturbation, and idiot that I was at the time, did not think of the ramifications of dried, extremely strong glue on my hands that night. I unfortunately did not notice until it was too late, and had shredded my skin to the point of bleeding. Fortunately, scarring was minimal, but it did affect sensitivity.
Jesus.
Homie mangled up his schlong. I mean, I get trying. But I mean, at what point into, effectively rubbing your fucking wiener with a cheese grater do you go, hey, I don't think this is as fun as it was last time? This is the head injuries.
Yeah.
This is the head injuries piling up. Jesus H. Christ on a fucking bike. Well, okay. Good Lord. That is us for today.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
As these episodes go, they're going to get worse.
I feel that too. So remember, if, you want to email us your just terrifying stories, send your answers to ihavefeltlikethis@yahoo.com. That is ihavefeltlikethis, all one word, all lowercase, nice and easy. And your questions this time are, have you ever made a big bet? Have you ever been dumped over the phone? Have you ever been in a limo? Ever been made to wear a midriff top and say woof? So send your answers to ihavefeltlikethis@yahoo.com and see if you can join our team of uncanny less men. Because we're forming a group. We don't know what it's for yet, but
I would enjoy that.
we'll have it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
It's kind of like the muscle men Hal had, We'll have them.
Yeah, you have to assemble a team and then wait for problems to present themselves.
Done watering your men.
I know. Because you can't assemble a team once the problem's there. It's too late then.
No, you need the team on
Yeah,
standby.
the team
and ready.
Team needs to be fucking trained and prepared and, all right, yeah, here we go.
We'll just, the guy with the head injuries, we'll put him in a protective bodysuit that protects everything but the head.
Yeah, like one of those, inflatable sumo suits.
Yeah.
We just leave the little helmet off.
Yeah.
And it's just, all right, off we go. Just, I don't know how it's going to help in this battle, but, it'll just attract all blows.
Exactly.
All blows will just somehow hit this guy's head.
It's like the deep sea monkfish, It's like the light attracts them. The head attracts the blows.
I gotta go punch that guy's head. Fucking, I was gonna rob this bank using my super strength, but have you seen that guy's head?
I need to punch it.
I gotta punch this head.
Punch it. Well,
the deck child, the buffest crackhead alive.
we need to build
a chemical child.
I want to build a cryptid book.
It's fucking getting there.
Well.
So send your incredibly troubling emails to ihavefeltlikethis@yahoo.com. I have been Gabriel Twist.
I have been Amber Twist.
Fuck me, it's been a day.
I'll catch you next time.
Bye.